Hey up, Snow Nerd, and I thought I'd do something a little bit different to all the videos I've done before, where I sort of like talk about a specific project, code I've used, tutorials, and I thought I'd just take a bit of time out and be a bit self-indulgent, and talk specifically about stuff I've done basically talk about my portfolio, maybe open up a few examples, show my portfolio, talk about it a bit. Not too much. There's not much to really talk about. Really, it's a WordPress site. Basically, it's just a WordPress site with. I mainly use it just for keeping track of my portfolio projects. I try and keep it quite updated, so you can just see the design's fairly conventional. It's just yeah, it's a sort of scroller site. With just information about myself, my background, and blah 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 blah, skills and all that stuff. Well, that's not what I'm going to focus on too much. I want to just talk a bit about different projects I've done, what the ideas are behind them, maybe dive into some of the code. Not all of these projects are finished. Some of them are purely experiments, some of them are long-term projects that's been going on for a long time. Some of them are projects for clients who I work with a lot. Some of them are like sort of things I did in agencies. Some of them are just freelance work. Some of them are. So there's a whole smattering of things. Some of them are games. Some of them are tools. Some of them are like WordPress sites. Some of them are React sites. Like this is a React experimental app just as a play test. But this is an actual commercial application. Likewise, this Cultura is a live React application that I work on pretty much nearly every single day. So yeah, I thought I'd just talk a bit about that. So like primarily at the minute, I'm basically a sort of remote developer. So I work primarily for two companies at the minute, consistently, and then sometimes occasionally do freelance work. It used to be a bit different for me a while ago, where I used to do more just like random projects, but I found it a bit of a struggle. So it's good to have two consistent sort of clients, and that's actually good to have that sort of stable income, I find. And then, so let's just start with something random. Maybe. So some of these projects are Unreal Engine projects. I guess I won't focus too much on those because they're. This is quite a popular one when I actually did the tutorial for it. So Bite Mine X. There's a video about this on the channel as well, so I won't go over too much of it. But basically, it's like a free.js. It's sort of basically like a template that people can use. So it's used free. This is for the commercial client that I did this for. So I did this while I was working for basically a startup design agency. So the free.js is, and it's, I mean, essentially what it is it's got a timer. I mean, obviously the time it was 707 days over since the timer. I actually modified this, I think, to make it so it said it's already passed. It's too far. It's like what, 2 years ago. But yeah, that was like basically what that is. It's free.js animated. Response to mouse movement. Looks pretty slick. It was basically a landing page for this cryptocurrency thing. And this is like the alternate version of it, which is the one I think we actually use in the end of the lines. So it responds to mouse movement, and it's also kind of cool. I prefer the first one honestly, but I think I've shown that before, so I won't go too much into that. And then there's head controls, which I've shown, which is again sort of like me just playing around. I don't think this is live though now because I lost the. Well, I was hosting it on the host I was hosting it on. I just got rid of it. But basically, it's a head control. There's another video on that anyway. A website I work on frequently is the Cultura site, which is for a games company. It's a game called Occupy White Walls. So I'm sort of like the main front end dev on that. That's basically consistent, like I was saying before, sort of a consistent job. So I work consistently on that, improving the front end side of the site. This is another commercial app I worked on, React app using Redux as well. And this is basically a risk assessment tool for around COVID, basically. And you basically what it is you can create an assessment, and then you measure your risk by inputting how well certain controls are being met, risk controls, and then basically you can also assign tasks and risks to each control, and you can also print out a report, PDF in this case, when you've reached these like sort of assessed the government approved guidelines, or you've put in place basically. Anyway, it was sort of an interesting project to work on. It's like an admin dashboard tool with some reporting aspects. So we use React Chart.js for that, and React, of course, and React Chart.js extensively. I mean, for the chart part of it. So that was like one big commercial thing which I've done in the last year. This is June 2020 that was released. Probably the biggest commercial thing I've released this year. I mean, Cultura, which I've been working on, we've been consistently updating that, but that's been around for a while, basically. Let's just go back. It's stuck for some reason. Let's try again. If my internet's getting bad or something, it shouldn't be too bad. Have been having some issues recently. There we go. So another arm of stuff that I do is like games design. So there's a smattering of things I've done here. Some of these are like Ludum Dare Jam games, like Mushroom Hunter. It's a Game Guru game. There's a few different engines as well. So Narrational Ferrari, which is made in the Unreal Engine. Game Guru. So some of these are hobbyist games, really. I mean, yeah, I did this, which is I'm not really showing this on my Nerd channel. So Glitches, basically, sort of turn that down a bit. Glitch is a interactive fiction game, basically, short one. So it uses CSS, HTML, a little bit of JavaScript, but not much in Twine. This is the trailer for it, basically. Trailer for the game. My face. A bit of WebGL as well at one point, right at the end. My internet's playing funny again. You get the idea. Some pictures of it. So I think there's a few places where you can play that just on the web, and also it was like the first game I created actually. So it's got videos and embedded video and quite creative use of CSS, I guess. I'm quite happy with that. And then Nano Maze is quite a cool game, but that's made of Unreal Engine, so that's a whole other thing. Let's show some bits of that because it's quite happy with it, like for what it was. I was actually porting this to mobile at some point, but I never managed to finish it off. Though I still have the build just on my desktop PC, which is currently requiring a bit of maintenance, so I need to wait until. But I mean, I've actually got a working mobile version of this up. I was thinking of actually putting it on the Play Store eventually. Once I've got sort of basic mobile controls in there. You can play this on desktop now. I mean, it works on desktop. You can download it at itch.io, and I mean, it's a Ludum Dare Jam game actually. So I only did it over 3 days, but. I mean, the AI could be improved because at the minute it's just sort of predefined path, just predefined paths, but sort of proud of doing that in a few days. And the models are just asset packs, but can't really build advanced 3D models. We did programming a game in 3 days. But yeah, that's and then Mushroom. This is quite a funny thing, just for my game stuff. So this is another Ludum Dare one, Ludum Dare 40, and this was basically a mushroom hunting game. So yeah, and you have to kill zombies. Pretty basic stuff really, but it's like one of the early Ludum Dare games I did, a Game Guru. So the AI was a bit broken before. I think it's a bit better now when you download it. Was quite happy with it when I made it anyways. I mean, obviously if I was going to make it today, I think I'd make it in something like Unreal Engine or something, but I quite like the mood that I got. I think with all these Ludum Dare things, because I just finished another Ludum Dare actually. With all these Ludum Dare things, I think I'm always good at getting the mood right and like sort of capturing a certain ambience. The bit I struggle with sometimes is just the finer detail, I guess. Anyway, so this is an interesting one. This is something I did from I did vlog about this on the channel as well, but this is something I did from this year, like a sort of artistic response to the quarantine. That's the live stream. I'm gonna watch that one actually boot into the thing. So play. So basically, it's like this is built with Play Canvas, which is a HTML5 WebGL engine. I'll just show you what it's all about. And I've sort of, this was quite an interesting project to do. Basically, it's an online art exhibition in 3D. And we did like a sort of opening for it with a live stream where people could ask us questions, and it was quite interesting. We did get though flagged on YouTube for it for some reason, so we did actually 2 live streams because of that infamous. Takes a while to load. Some of the assets could probably be optimized. So I've got 2 separate versions. I couldn't figure out exactly how to automate it, so you could just. But I'm playing desktop, so I've just gone to desktop version. Right, so this is it, and it's sort of like a virtual environment. You can have a look at the artworks, wander around, get the artwork titles. I think the sound's muted, isn't it? Yeah, so there's sound usually, yeah. You can watch this video, which is streaming on the video texture. So I have to figure out a script for that. That's one of my art pieces. But yeah, so there's a few different things going on here, of course. So you've got, so if I walk away from that, you've got the environment itself, control system, some triggers for when I go up to an artwork and click on it. Well, not click on it, but so you can talk to this guy. It's based on our leader, actually. Our leader. I don't know our leader really, just the guy who founded the tunnel. So yeah, this is probably one of the biggest side projects I've released this year, and also getting it finished was quite nice. So I just did this with Play Canvas, and then I just created a simple sort of like for the actual like starting page. It's just Bootstrap. This is really. I had to get it done quite fast, so I just did like a sort of one-page site. You can scroll down on with some links to the artist sites, pictures, the stream. There's a link to the stream originally, and then just the play link. But yeah, that's probably one of the most interesting things I've done this year, actually. More recently, I've been working on Gertist chat room, which I can't really demo properly because I need at least, unless someone else is in there now. And this is very experimental, and I'm not even sure if it works properly. But it's Gertist 3D chat room Heroku app. It's a bit of a joke, the Gertist part. I didn't expect anybody to get it. But basically, this is using a generated 3D environment, and it's like the idea of it is you can go in as to these generated environments in A-frame. So if I just do this, copy it again, and mute myself, because otherwise I'll hear myself. You'll understand what I mean by that in a second. Okay, it's muted, so that's good. So I should probably be able to see myself. There we are. So basically the idea of this is that you supports voice chat, and you got little characters. So you got Gertis there, and I think I'm also Gertis. Yeah, because the actual naming system doesn't work yet, I don't think. At least it wasn't working when I tried it before, so it's nice to see this as Gertis now at least. But yeah, so in theory, like, if I unmute this, I'll be able to hear myself. There you go. Which is horrible feedback, because it's only me in the room, so it's feeding back into itself. And probably sound even worse for you, but basically that's the idea of this. It's like an online 3D chat room where you can just explore around, chat, and yeah. So this is a work in progress. It's something I'd probably like to work a bit more on in the next few months. It's sort of cool. It's just utilizing existing technology. So A-frame environment. What's it called again? I've actually got the GitHub link on here. It's just using existing technology, just combining a bunch of stuff together. So look at the package JSON. So dependencies A-frame room component, which I was going to mess around with, but mainly the main thing is networked A-frame. I'm sure it's. Oh yeah, I'm using a CDN. That's why for some of it, I think. Yeah. The A-frame's just. No, I need to get set, don't I? One of them. This is still very much work in progress. Yeah, it's just using a CDN for the A-frame environment component, which is this, which is what builds the environment. This is quite good just for getting a simple environment up and running. But anyway, that's that project, which is quite, I think, interesting. Some other stuff I did recently was this is web monitor. I don't really. This is just something I was trying to do for a jam, but it didn't really work out, and I just gave up on it. This is something else I did for an art show, Hollow Man by T.S. Eliot. I think I've got this on my site somewhere. I've already covered this in a vlog, but it's basically like similar to the other 3JS stuff I've messed around with. It's sort of like a multimedia version of a poem. There we go, here it is. I think it's still online. Yeah, so obviously like sort of dodgy, using this video from a film, but whatever. But the basic crux of this is like 3JS rendered WebGL stuff with each part of the. It was sort of like a promotional thing for this art show, so you could go onto each page and have these graphics that sort of roughly relate to the text. So again, just me getting my hands dirty with 3JS a bit more, learning a bit more about that, essentially. That's quite a nice one. This is actually a nice one, but it's the one I customized the least. So like for a lot of these, I just took like examples and worked on them and changed things and stuff. But this is like more or less lifted from a 3JS example. The others are not so much; they're just my own work. But the other one wasn't. But, so I learn really often, I guess. Now, what else have I done this year? It's been quite a productive year actually overall. So I've been, in terms of programming, I'm really like starting to make progress as a programmer. I think I'm, especially with React, I've got to a level now of more aptitude, I think, and just generally Kieran app. This is something else I did this year, which is sort of just just an exercise really. I did it as a part of a tutorial on here actually, which you can view, and it's basically just a random quote generator. If you set the mood and then generate some a quote based on that mood for you from the philosophy email code on. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure if the app's up or not. It was last time I checked, but that's that. This is from last year technically, but part of what I've done over the last 2 years has been this camp Reactor, where we build twine stories or interactive fictions again. And this is just like a library of all those. I'm hoping to move this onto another site soon, probably the Reactor site. But basically, it's games that I built in collaboration with the kids. The kids did all the writing, and then I just helped them convert it into a game. So you can scroll through these and just go to like Chris Kingdom. This one's quite good, Nicholas. So you can go onto this, get a twine story, fall back to the earth. Is it muted? No, okay, it's working. Hide in the bunker. It's just like different endings for each one you select. So if I go to like Annabelle, this is quite a weird one. So yeah, that's quite a nice little library of like educational work I guess I've done. There's also more I need to add for this year as well. So we had the camp this year. VR art viewer, I don't think there's only a demo of this. I haven't really published it anywhere, but it's basically just an art viewer. You can change sizes, and it's something I did at a previous workplace actually, but we never utilized it, so I just sort of kept it going. So you can change in this example anyway, this is not a finished thing, but you can change the example, you can change the format. It's using A-frame. You can change the wallpaper. You can even change the wallpaper texture, I think. Yeah. Then you can actually, this is quite cool. So you basically get a color picker, and you can change the color of the wall to any color you want. So I mean, possibly it's a bit of a case of too much in there. You probably want to limit it a bit, because like how many times you're going to have to select a pink wall or something. But I thought it was quite a cool experiment that I did. We were thinking of implementing this basically where I worked, but then when I moved to Russia, the job that I was doing this for, I left obviously, because I left England. So that's sort of just kept that project. I've not really done anything more of it really. I just sort of kept it in a sort of half-finished state. Well, not half-finished state. I mean, it basically works. Anyway, I digress. I think this website's offline now because it's finished, but this zone scanner thing is basically a QR web scanning thing. It's part of a. This is sort of more about like. Yeah, I don't think the website's up anymore because the exhibition's ended. I don't want to keep paying for the domain. But it's basically like a QR scanner. If I just boot up this old video. So basically the idea of it was that we had these objects in the room, and the idea of the application would be that anyone could just come up to these objects, scan the QR codes from the objects and get information on it. So it's sort of a multimedia blended environment, like installation thing. I did this in collaboration with Loz Lees and Becca Smith. So it's one of the first experiments of doing that, like a live installation thing. I think this is just me demoing the fact that you can scan the QR codes. Yeah, so this was pretty simple site. It actually uses jQuery actually, so you just use Bootstrap, a bunch of custom CSS and jQuery, just because to be honest I was like, just for ease, because I know that jQuery is not the cool thing anymore, but just for writing it from scratch, just found it the ease of use, I guess. On reflection, like if I was going to do this now, I'd probably do it as a React app or maybe something different, but it was was like a while ago now. I think I was doing it. Not ages ago, but yeah. Okay, what else can I talk about from a portfolio? So Virus Zapper is very much unfinished, and I don't think it will get finished. It's basically just I was sort of experimenting with procedural generation. So this at present is here. So if I just launch it in here, it's very much in a broken state at the minute, really, to be honest. So it's cool in the sense, like, basically, so how is this thing cool? On what levels is it cool? So basically, you'll see when I launch this up, you can see there's no buildings there, but there's a script in here that basically procedurally generates buildings, which is quite cool, with collisions, and also these main characters, like this guy running around. So if I just launch this, you'll see what I mean, which is quite good. I mean, that's quite a cool thing, just to get some level of procedural generation going. So it's like randomly generating the buildings, but in terms of the figuring out what the actual gameplay of this thing would be, because it was going to initially called Virus Zapper, I really sort of like just don't know what to do with it. So there you go. That's the the characters. I broke the movement by accident, I think, when I was messing around with it last. But yeah, I mean, it's just a pure experiment, really. It's like not even halfway or a quarter way finished. But I was going to make this into something, and I don't know, I was just lost the will on it, really, to be honest. But I did learn a bit about generating buildings and stuff. So these are like generate random sizes, basically. These generate random sizes, basically, based on runtime, which is pretty cool, I suppose. But yeah, that's sort of like a project in decline, a side project in decline currently. I don't know, though I did learn useful things in it, like obviously like how to do a little bit of generating things randomly, a bit more about scaling and play canvas, blah 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 blah. I think we covered all these ones at the top. These are just like these ones here are just like WordPress sites I did for when I was working for a design agency in London. This one's different now. I think they've changed it. I think this one's still the same. So mostly on this site I just did sort of little bits and bobs here and there, to be honest. Not anything great, not a great deal. It's just a WordPress site basically. Just fix some issues for them, give them some support on how to edit the WordPress site, that sort of thing. It's quite nice little site actually. It's pretty nice and functional. So yeah, what did I do? Yeah, I basically did some stuff on that. I helped. It wasn't just me that helped create that. There's two of us. Just before you're claiming all of that one, but it is quite a nice website for a WordPress site. So Darkwoods project's quite cool. This is basically a let's get to the Darkwoods project. This is it's finished now, but it's basically a residency I did for an art show. So I just created a quick WordPress site for the actual, like, because basically what it was is I wanted to make it so that people could respond to the word Darkwoods with their own stories and images, text, blah 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 blah. So that was the idea of it, and it's got a 3D environment, and then it's also got forms on submission form for people's ideas. Basically, it's not the greatest website. I threw it up pretty fast. It's got a time-lapse video from the actual event, but yeah, I did throw it up pretty fast. I set up some recapture because I was worried about people in just sending me pictures of their dick or whatever on the submission form, or just inappropriate stuff. So I set that up, I think, because of that. And then but the main feature of this is quite cool. It's like a 3D environment basically, sort of similar to the gallery thing I did in the virtual gallery recently. It's just a sort of nice add-on thing, like a Into the Darkwoods. It's a 3D environment and stuff. So yeah, that was just like something we did as part of the art residency last year, I think. Dark Woods, the dark woods, and I think it's just, it takes a while to load. That's the only problem with that, really. Yeah, it's just sort of very similar to the other one. It's got these artworks, there's trees. You sort of like wander around a bit. Got this like little poetic sequences. I saw before me an endless emptiness within myself. So these are my art pieces, quite recent ones from around about that time. Birdman Fighting the Shadow. It's just the title of that particular piece. So this is more just to give people an idea of what sort of thing I was after. So again, like I sort of wanted to create a sort of immersive experience. I could just enhance the site and stuff. You can walk through the trees though, which is a bit of a boo-boo, but I think I did this in about 2 days, maybe one. So but yeah, okay, so this is a deep dive, so what else can I dive into that I've done? What else can I dive into? I know it's half an hour already, but this is a deep dive. Well, Crested, another art thing I did. I think it's still online. So this is quite interesting actually. I'm still quite happy with it. This is again is just static HTML actually with jQuery. And that's it actually. Some JavaScript with jQuery. So basically, the idea of this was it was like getting a mixed media. Well, not mixed media, an installation. So basically, there's a physical board game, and then depending on where you land on the board, you would get one of these videos based on it. So it just opens up a player based on the symbol that you land on in the installation itself. Sort of the whole thing. I edited these videos in, I think, Premiere. So you got these like sort of weird videos that mix stock footage, my own music, and like animation, I suppose. So all of these symbols sort of had a symbolic meaning as well, unsurprisingly. I think this one's about sort of repression of speech, that sort of thing. What's this one? Because they're all basically created by Becky Smith. Hello. So yeah, that's that. That's basically like, I guess, art installation-y thing from I think 2 years ago now, honestly. internet's conking out. So going a bit further down in the old project, well, older projects. So we've got change the subject Reactor, which is actually one of the first silly sort of like React things I did. I think it's live on Heroku deployed. This is basically just when I started getting back into React. I don't know if it's live, so I'll just play the video. It's basically just like a random question. There we go, it works. So you just change the subject, it gives you a random subject, and then you can just share it on like Facebook if you want, and then it just posts it to Facebook. So for example, if who made God as my subject, I click share it, if the API works still, which I think it does, maybe not, I don't know. And then it just shares it on Facebook. Yeah, so change the subject, who made God, and then just post that. So that's pretty simple. All this has actually not got any backend or database or anything. It's just I just created a massive long well, I remember a massive long array. I can't remember. It's been a while since I looked at it, but so if you just go, how tall is the world's tallest person? How tall is the world's tallest person? And it gives, for some reason, which gives it. There's probably some crap on there, private hypnosis. I don't know. But that's like some just stupid React thing I did a while ago. Using so yeah, and then I've got like one of the first WordPress themes I tried to develop. This is a bit of a mixed bag, really. I never really managed to get it fully properly functional, but it's basically like a responsive webcomic theme for WordPress. The idea is that you get like, you can put in images and then it stretches it all across horizontally, and then also have it be responsive on mobile. So it did work basically, but where I ran into trouble was the actual content, getting it, integrating it with WordPress basically, and sort of this project died a bit really, basically. Dark Cake's quite good. This has been up for a while, a few years actually. So this is a net label. It's a WooCommerce site. It's just it's WordPress. It works. The orders work. It's quite nice looking. I think it's got some nice visual elements. Like this is just a GIF in the background, but it looks quite slick, I think. Anyway, a little bit pixelated, but because I've probably blown up a GIF. But I sort of wanted to go for that sort of lo-fi look anyway, to be honest. This is a WordPress. It's used integrating WooCommerce for the e-commerce side of things. So yeah, you can. This works. It functions. It's got a cart, checkout, all that sort of thing. This is just a labour of love, basically, because it's just like a net label for music I like. Basically, mostly just music me and my mates made, from mostly northern artists. But that's what it is. It's been online for a few years now. I think at least 3, maybe even 4 now. And then that's not a real engine game, but it's very, very much not finished. Word Crunch is sort of interesting, but I never managed to finish it off. So I've got some live coding vid here. Basically what this is basically the idea of it would be that, I never finished it, but it's basically that you add some poetry text, and then you can share it with other people, like, and it generates background graphics too. So you're sharing the graphics, the poem itself, and also it reads out the poem, so I have like a voice. Yeah, so that's the sort of idea of it. It basically reads out the poem as well. So this is actually quite cool, but I've just never had the time to finish it off properly. So it takes the text that you've written and also does account for line breaks and stuff in the text, but I sort of went a bit too far with this and broke parts of it. Might be an interesting one to revisit at some point, but basically, so this is a mixture of technologies. It uses JavaScript, 3JS library for the graphics side of things, and some library for the text-to-speech aspect. The text-to-speech actually sounded not too synthetic. It's quite a good library, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Well, this is something I haven't touched for a few years now, so it's, yeah, that's that one. I might revisit it at some point, but it's just a case of time. And I'd rather probably focus on the greatest chat app, even though that's more or less done. Sort of just like quite like to build that a bit because it's quite a nice idea, I think. English chat Chum chatbot's another experimental project, just creating a chatbot basically. That's the source, not the project. So all it is basically is using this thing called Lambot, and then I designed a custom landing page, I think. Okay. So the whole point of it is it's basically, I think I have got it somewhere, but I can't remember the URL off the top of my head. But it's just basically a chatbot to help you learn English. It's using Landbot, so it's not really programming really. It's just an experiment. And I think finally, this is pretty cool. This is an Unreal Engine project, but very ambitious one. So basically, I wanted to make a mind mapping tool. I'll show this is the called Blank Vortex 3D mind mapping. I did get quite a lot of this actually working. So basically, you just create a node. Every time you have an idea, the idea is that you're in a 3D environment. Every time you have an idea, you click and it creates an idea sphere, and then you can return to those and basically start got a little map as well, so you could then teleport to each node. And the idea was that you have these nodes and you could write notes. So it's basically, and it had music as well, so you could I think, yeah, so you could edit node and you could teleport to each node. Never quite got it finished, but it was quite a good idea, I think. I think I've lost the actual core files for this, so I've probably have to redo major parts of it. It had basically two areas, so it had this area which is like the hub, and then you could. The idea was that you could go to like element themed. This is what I was trying to do here. Element themed areas. One of them was zero gravity as well. I think I'll probably show that on this video too. Yes, the one of them was zero grav, so you could teleport to that. So this is that one. So that was like yeah, like zero gravity area, mind hub. That's the hub I was talking about before. But yeah, this was pretty cool actually. I'm pretty happy that I'd even got like a sort of prototype working for this, and it's got some nice graphics. But I never really quite ironed out some things, so I did have a lot of time at the time to sort of dedicate to these sort of things, and I did dedicate a lot of time, so I wasn't really working conventionally at the minute when I did this as freelancing. But especially if you're learning something like Unreal Engine, it's just going to take time to learn loads of parts of it. So yeah, this is quite a nice prototype, but ultimately never got it finished, unfortunately. I'm happy that I did it because I learned a lot about Unreal Engine actually while I was doing it, which then I think actually fed a lot of that stuff into like I'll talk about Narrational Ferrari. Narrational Ferrari is probably one of the most finished Unreal Engine projects I've done, and it's basically like a short interactive 3D fiction thing. I'll show that quickly and then I'll just wrap this up, I think. So I've been quite productive over the last few years really. I think it's a decent portfolio. I mean, I've got like more sort of commercial projects now as always. So this is Narrational Ferrari. So you basically are like a vampire's slave, and you have to like choose victims for them. So it's all about making more like ethical decisions, I guess, and not so much ethical, but just making decisions to see what happens. So basically the whole idea of it is you choose a victim. There's multiple endings. It's built in Unreal Engine over 2 days, I think, 2 or 3 days, because there's a Ludum Dare for a 43 game, and yeah, you basically just stalk the streets of Necro, I think it's Necro Town, talk to people, and choose who you want to kill. So that's still downloadable for Windows, and that is a finished project. It's a finished thing, so it's good. Something I did more recently, which is a game, is I did another one I did for a jam, was that it's this like ghost game, but I don't know if I'll show you that because it's sort of I can talk about Ginny as well. So Ginny was a big project I set out to do, and it took me ages. It took me like 6 months, I think. And this is like made of Game Guru. So this was really, I mean, I finished this, but it was very much a sort of failure in some respects, because got hardly any downloads, not many people liked it really. I mean, it's a personal sort of achievement because I made my own RPG. This like sort of like an open world thing, a small open world game, but it's obviously it's like nothing compared to like a AAA game. It's using Game Guru, so it's very basic engine. Mostly I wanted to do it just so I could have sort of done it. So I've like created a 3D open world game, and sort of done that and have that experience under my belt. But it's, I mean, it's a game with major flaws really. Probably it's got like I mean, you can do multiple quests and stuff, but the basic main thread is quite sort of boring, I suppose. The graphics obviously are very basic because it's just using Game Guru. And it's got a basic dialogue system. I got a lot of like negative feedback actually for using like some predefined scripts. I mean, I wrote some of the Lua scripts myself, but like for the dialogue system, I just downloaded a dialogue system because I didn't want to code it from scratch. I got some negative feedback about that, I think. And also using asset packs, which I did because I'm not a graphics artist. So some of them are like standard graphics, and some of them are sort of this cyberpunk asset library I downloaded. So I did get a bit of negative feedback about that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but you can download it now. It's actually free now. So at first I was going to make it a paid for game, and now it's a free game basically. So you can download this for free. Pay what you want, I think. Yeah. Be interesting to see if anyone wants to try it out. So two last games I made was Nazi Zombies, which is just another jam game, and it's just really silly. I don't even know if I'll bother to play it, show it. It's really just quite silly. It's made for a jam. The horror game jam, and then Alone, which I can actually play in browser because it's browser based, made with GDevelop. Another jam game of feelings and emotions. The idea of this is that you died and you go into the afterlife and you're trying to rekindle, find your dead wife basically. But all of that's basically a pretense for like sort of just an exploration game, so basically. You get killed by these demons. So the idea is you go into these portals, you have to avoid these demons. It's a bit basic really, but I only did it in I think 2 days. So that's it, that one. You can sort of float around on the death screen as well, which is quite nice. There's a little ghost. That was like a jam project, so it's very simple sort of thing. And I think that's basically the deep dive finished. And all my like, I've got a few things which are like tutorial projects, but they're tutorial projects, not really like proper side projects. Don't think I've missed anything. So that's like the last 2 or 3 years of work stuff, as well as side project stuff. Yeah, hope that's been interesting at least. Like having given a bit of a perspective on technologies you can use to do these things. Oh, there's the tunnel virtual gallery as well, which actually was online and still is online for a while. So this is essentially an older version of the product just showed before. It's on their site at the minute, I think. So Tunnel London, yeah. So the tunnels and art collector were formed a few years ago. Yeah, this is our website, which is on Squarespace. It's just loading in a minute. And then I basically created this as like just another interactive element for the site, basically. So could go a bit further back and then you can see it. Yeah, virtual gallery launched. It says VR. It's not really technically VR. I don't know why they called it that. Just gets VR, but virtual gallery or something. But I mean, I guess I was sort of ahead of the curve with this because I did this back in 2014. Now, like VR virtual galleries are sort of all the rage. I know there's been ones made before I made this, but it's quite cool to have done something like this a while ago, before it was like a very trendy thing to do, I suppose. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it works. Well, hopefully it should work because I've not been on it for probably 6 months, but yeah. You just like walk around. Oh, I've muted it, I think. It's usually the other sound. Where is it muted? Refresh it again. Anyway, it's sort of like basically like the same version of the other one. You can you go up to each. Got a bit of blurb here. It's a 3D sort of web experience. Go up to each artist to see who it is. You can view these graphics up close. And there's probably the textures could probably be optimized and stuff, I guess, but it's just like for a sort of first version of this sort of thing that I made ages ago. And it was quite smooth actually. It's quite smooth. And, there's no real bugs as far as I can tell. I think you can jump as well. Yeah, you can jump. Yeah, you can't go through the walls or anything, which is good. This is made in Play Canvas like 2014. Anyway, that'll do, I think. So that's a deep dive into my portfolio. If you've got any thoughts, comments, criticisms, anything, leave them below. If you want me to like make a tutorial or anything on any of these, how I made any of these projects, or also leave us a comment. Subscribe if you like my content, and I think I'll leave it at that. Cheers, goodbye.